Hi, today I'm going to explain a horror, thriller film, released in 2021, called The Black Phone. Denver, Colorado, 1978. A little league baseball game is being attended by children and their parents, with his sister Gwen picking on him. Finney Blake is throwing a pitch. However, on the third pitch, Bruce Yamada, a different player, smacks the ball and hits a home run, allowing his side to win despite Finney's 2 successful strikes. Bruce compliments Finney for his arm despite the setback. Later, Bruce is seen riding his bicycle about town and saying hello to a few girls from school. Then a black van pulls up in front of Bruce, and he stops in his tracks. Finney and Gwen stay with their father, an aggressive alcoholic who is still grieving the suicide of both his wife and the children's mother. The school bully, Moose, is provoking another student named Robin as the siblings begin their way to school. Unknown to anybody, Robin is a great fighter who crushes Moose and beats his face wounded. After learning that Bruce has vanished, Finney and Gwen proceed to walk while Gwen mentions a local kidnapper known only as the Grabber. Finney is taunted at school by 3 lads who follow him into the restroom and yell at him. When Robin comes, she warns the bullies not to mistreat Finney. Robin exhorts Finney to defend himself as well. 2 investigators visit the school in the meantime and talk with Gwen in the principal's office. Gwen claims to have nightmares about the kidnapped children who are missing, but she is unable to interpret the significance of these dreams. The following morning, Finney awakens to see his father assaulting Gwen as a result of the police showing up at his place of employment and questioning him about Gwen's nightmares and their connection to Bruce's abduction. Dad hits Gwen when she smashes his whiskey bottle. He commands Gwen to claim that her dreams are unreal since they are comparable to those of her mother, which were interpreted as premonitions. Later, Robin is zipping around the neighborhood on his bike. The Grabber is waiting for him when he turns the corner, holding black balloons, which were also reported as being seen when Bruce went missing. The neighborhood's parents are told of Robin's absence. The school bullies then attack Finney and begin to beat him, but Gwen stands up for him by hitting one bully in the head with a rock, leaving him with a lot of bleeding. While the other 2 bullies continue to abuse Finney, Gwen receives a kick to the face. Later on in class, Finney is assigned Donna, his crush, as his science partner. She expresses remorse for Finney being assaulted. As they make their way home, Finney breaks away from Gwen and comes across the Grabber's vehicle. The Grabber pretends to be an ordinary man dumping his groceries, but when Finney notices the black balloons, he strikes and uses a chemical to knock him unconscious before throwing him into the van. Soon after Finney goes away, Gwen and other students at the school find out. Finney is taken to the Grabber's cellar where he is held captive. There is only one window, so if he yells, no one will be able to hear him. While mocking Finney, the Grabber assures him that he is unique. An unplugged black phone that is on the wall is one that the Grabber claims to have previously heard ringing. Later, Finney answers the phone when it calls once again. He hears Bruce's voice, who describes Finney's baseball arm as Min after noticing it. Bruce, however, is unable to recall his own identity or his previous activities. Finney receives advice from Bruce on a spot in the floor where he can lift a tile and start excavating. Finney works in the earth, excavating it and dumping it down the toilet. In a dream, Gwen witnesses a flashback to Bruce's early years and the emergence of his baseball passion. In his conversation with Gwen, Mr. Blake explains that her mother used to talk about experiencing dreams that are visions, much as Gwen does. He believes this was the catalyst for her suicide and wishes to stop Gwen from following in her footsteps. Finney is given eggs and a Sprite by the Grabber, who assures him that the meal is hygienic. He also leaves the door open, but as Finney approaches it, he hears the phone ring once more and recognizes Billy, a nearby paperboy. As Finney is speaking, the spirit of Finney, whose face the Grabber sliced, emerges next to him. Billy warns Finney that the Grabber will be waiting upstairs for him with a knife and that the unlocked door is a trap. Billy makes reference to a cable that was left in a wall crack. Finney tries to climb out of the window by grabbing a rolled-up mat and sliding the cable up to the window bars, but his weight pulls the bars off, leaving him with no means to climb back up. Before the Grabber caught hold of him, Billy worked as a paperboy, delivering papers with his dog. The cops ask people in the area questions about Max, who is conducting his own inquiry into the disappearance of the children. He admits to the cops that he is temporarily living with his brother. As she searches for her brother, Gwen tries to gather whatever information she can from her dreams. When Finney lies when the Grabber asks for his identity, the Grabber gives Finney a newspaper with the story of his abduction. The phone rings once more after he leaves, and Finney talks to a child called Griffin. Griffin's spirit materializes next to Finney and shares with him a lock combination that he had noted down. This is a portion of the Naughty Boy game that the Grabber enjoys playing with his victims. Griffin can't recall the precise combination, but Finney is able to discover the numbers. Finney crawls upstairs and tries every possible combination till he unlocks the door when the Grabber is asleep. Samson, the Grabber's dog, unfortunately barks at the sound of the unlocking, awakening the Grabber. Finney flees the home, but the grabber captures him just as he is about to cross the street. The grabber threatens to murder Finney there if he makes a noise, when neighbors switch on their lights. Before bringing Finney back, he waits until the lights have turned off. Later, the phone rings once more, but Finney hears the voice of a local punk called Vance Hopper this time. In a flashback or dream, Vance is shown fighting with two children in an arcade because one of them screwed up with his high score. He was promptly taken into custody. In the flashback, Gwen is shown standing next to Vance, who is speaking to Finney on the police radio while Gwen calls out to him. Gwen struggles to recall the number as they arrive at a home. Later, when she searches for the home on her bike through the neighborhood, she is startled by the spirits of the grabber's victims. Finney follows Vance's instruction and locates a freezer in a space behind a wall. Finney exerts all of his force on the door, but to no result. He starts to cry as he realizes he could pass away there. He picks up the phone when it rings once more. Robin answers and recalls his own life as well as Finney's. He informs Finney that although he was always his buddy, now is the time for him to start speaking up for himself. Robin instructs Finney to practice using the phone as a weapon and to stuff dirt into the receiver to give it weight. Gwen gets in touch with the detectives and travels to the place she saw in her nightmares. Because the grabber is his brother, Max deduces that the missing children are housed at the residence where he is living. When he enters the basement, he is surprised to see Finney there. The grabber murders Max with an axe to the skull. He pursues Finney, but the child has made use of all the ghost kid's assistance available to him. In order to drop the grabber into the hole where he breaks his ankle after the cable hits the window bars, he sets up a rug over the hole he dug. The phone then rings once more as Finney starts crying into the grabber. The grabber is killed when Finney makes him hear the voices of his victims mocking him for dying. To distract Samson, he takes a steak out of the freezer and hands it to him. The home is empty when the investigators examine it, but one of them discovers the basement. The other 5 lads' deaths are discovered buried in the ground by the detectives. Across the street is the home where Finney was being held. Gwen notices him and goes to her brother as he opens the door and steps outside into the sunshine. The kids are taken care of by the authorities, and their father, who apologizes to both of them for how he treated them, picks them up. Finney is more confident than ever. When he goes back to school, the bullies no longer dare to bother him, and the other kids regard him as a legend for murdering the grabber. When he rejoins Donna in science class, he requests that she refer to him as Finn. Subscribe for more videos like this. Turn on the notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.